Hello and good morning friends, welcome to the EduSet lecture. Through this lecture of ours, we try to bring for you different subjects, and under the subjects we try to bring for you different topics. Since very long we have been talking about services marketing, and under this we have studied about various elements, various factors, various variables involved in service marketing. Now there is one another element, if we talk about the service industries, is the people. Question arises, how could we manage people in service marketing? And for this, to know this question, we have with us in our studio Dr. Ravi Shankar. He is an eminent academician. He is associated with the IIFT. First of all, I would like to introduce and welcome our guest, our lecturer, Dr. Ravi Shankar. Dr. Shankar, you are welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
So, Dr. Shankar, my question is, we are talking about service marketing, and as you have, since our previous lectures also, tried to explain our viewers how different elements are involved. Can we say people who are involved in the organization are also the part or the element of the marketing?
Yes, it's very right, and today large number of service organizations, they really look at human resource, and they call it human capital, which means apart from the money which is required to run the business, you require people to run the business. And the whole concept has grown to a level they talk of human capital, and that itself connotes the significance or importance of a human resource. Good organizations have great people, and that is one thing which is extremely becoming far more important and far more relevant. Also, it is also being said in services sector or in the context of services sector that most of the services are rendered by people. Service sector is people-driven sector, and therefore it is very important for you to look after your employees. It is even been emphasized that there is let me just tell you that there is a book which has a title, and the title is Customers Come Second. Who comes first is the employee. If you look after your employees will look after your customers. The entire premise is built on one assumption, and the assumption is dissatisfied employees can never give satisfied customers. It's only satisfied employees can give you satisfied customers. I mean, it's a very important statement. Each one of you should start thinking and start looking around that is there any organization which you know, any service organization which you know, which has dissatisfied employees but satisfied customers? So it is in that context the importance of managing people is phenomenal. And today when we talk about service organizations, we find that the service staff is crucial. And it could be that the service staff could be a villain versus a hero. There are people who, against all odds, they serve the customers like a hero. On the other hand, there are others who see to it that the customer doesn't get what is promised by the company and what is due to the customer. So it is in that context, you as a top management must understand whether the person is a villain or a hero. Your staff should always be heroes actually. The core part of the product, they also constitute your market offer. Do you think that people will go to a hospital where there are very poorly qualified doctors? Perhaps nobody will go to that hospital. And actually these people, human resource, they constitute the service organization. What is a barber shop? It's nothing but 3 or 4 people, and they constitute the shop. If there are no barbers, then this is redundant. And also the people represent the brand. And it is in that context, it is these people when they interact, when they come in face-to-face contact with the customers, they ensure what you call the moment of trust. And this discipline called internal marketing, it has grown over time of 3 phases. The first phase was that internal marketing means only that you motivate your employees, look after employee satisfaction. Phase 2 was that your employees must have customer orientation. Everybody in your organization must have customer orientation. And phase 3 is broadening the internal marketing concept to the extent that you have strategies to implement and bring about a meaningful change in your organizations. And today, some authors, they talk about 10 P's. They say, what is the philosophy of your company? What type of personalities you have? What type of people you have? And these 3 P's have become extremely important in the marketing of service organization. The second level of P's, product, price, place, promotion, are traditional, classical 4 P's. But then there are 3 more P's. That performance of people is very important. You have people, but they don't perform. So that is important, their performance. Perceptions, that what your customers think about your staff, that perception is important. What employees think of the organization, even that perception is important. And that is where finally the positioning, the image of the organization, image of the organization which the employees carry, that is important. And image of the organization which the customers carry, that is also important. There are others who have talked about 8 C's. It's an era of simplifying things, so they talk about, but I have picked up these things from the marketing literature to emphasize on the importance of people. The way in the previous, this particular 10 P's is the philosophy, the top management philosophy, the type of personalities who work in the organization, the people, and their performances are extremely important. So 4 or 5 P's out of the 10, they are actually people-centric, people-oriented. And this 8 C's, they talks about character. What the organization undoubtedly in is, which means the character of the organization, communication, what the entity say about itself, constituencies, whom the organization seek to serve, what type of people you are catering to, and then what is promised and expected from the organization, conceptualization, what the firm is seen to be, what we feel we are culture, what kind of culture you have. And here also they are talking about the culture which organization has. Context, the wide environment concern, and then the custodianship, the senior management stewardship, ethos and responsibilities of employees. So here also, whether we talk of 10 or 8, I think irrespective of that, I think the underlying idea here is that employees are very important. Internal marketing, enabling promise is very important. The top management should not only look at external marketing, making promises only, but the top management must look at creating employees who are enabling, who deliver what the company promised, and it must provide infrastructure and other supports, which is the employees. There is a healthy interaction which takes place between employees and customers. So interactive marketing, delivering promises is extremely important. So the entire philosophy of service value chain revolves around a promise, the promise which company gives to the customers. Whether you look at education is, most of us, we look at education as a career. If I do this degree, I'll get a career. Now, a career means better quality of life. So whether an educational institution promises a career or not, if it only promises a degree but no employment, do you think many people will register for that educational institution? So therefore, it is very important for every organization, every service organization to understand what type of promise they are giving to their customers. And here we also look at why these 3, which is organization and employees and the customers, they are interacting. Because we say that all the 3 must have customer orientation. Why? Because there is a marketing imperative. It is being said that in the service organization, you cannot separate the three functions: human resource, operations management, and marketing. Everything has to have a customer orientation. To that extent, when you look at why marketing in service organization, the marketing imperative is that you target right customers and build relationships, offer solutions that meet their needs, and define quality package with competitive advantage. The operations imperative is create, deliver specified service to target customers, adhere to consistent quality standards, and achieve high productivity to ensure acceptable cost. And then there is a human resource imperative. The human resource imperative is recruit and retain the best employees for each job. It's a big challenge today to retain good employees. Then train, motivate them to work well together. Training, there is a cost involved there, and achieving both productivity and customer satisfaction. So these are some of the basic things on which we are trying to develop our discussion today and go deeper into the subject. Typically we say that there are cycles: the cycles of failure, the cycle of success, the cycle of mediocrity, and so on. Let us look at one by one the cycle of failure and the cycle of success. It looks a little complex, but still it's not all that complex. It shows the interaction which takes place between the top management, employees, and the employees and the customers. The orange arrows, they signify the interaction with the customers. On the extreme right hand side, on the second line which you read, and you may be able to read, it is written: the problem begins when service organization recruit people with a narrow design of job to accommodate low skill level. Narrow design of job. Now this is a concept which is used in the manufacturing sector. In an assembly line, somebody has to do that little small job. The way a car gets, day for yesterday I was talking about an assembly line in the automobile. Somebody who is fitting the wiper on the left hand side of the car, only that little skill is required to do. Or somebody who can do Indian chef. Indian chef can prepare half a dozen Indian dishes, so it's good for a hotel. But somebody who can do continental, now that you can see that the job design, job description is very different. And therefore, in the service organization, it is being said you have to change the rules of the game. The same rules of the manufacturing sector cannot be applied. I mean, on a domestic help, why a domestic help is paid, say 1,000-1,500 rupees for cleaning the house, jhadu pocha? Why? Because it's a very narrow job, just to look at the floor and clean it. She will not do the dusting. She will not, do other job. Her job is, her eyes are only on the floor, and she will only clean the floor. So narrow design. The problem begins actually here in the services sector, when you recruit people with low, narrow job description and design. And the cycle goes, let me just convert this into a kind of a textual table so that the steps are very clear. The employee cycle of failure is that narrow job design for low skill level. You emphasize on rule rather than service. Use technology to control quality. The customer cycle is that managers short-sighted, assumption about financial implications of low pay, high turnover, human resource strategies. So this is where we find that the problem begins. If you see it on the right hand side, that narrow design of job, you emphasize on rule. Further down there is you emphasize on rule rather than the service. You pay low wages, minimization of selection effort, minimization of training. When you don't train people, what happens? Employees cannot respond to the customer problems. Many years ago, I went to a bank. I had an account in a saving bank account in a nationalized bank. It was my salary account. It was there was no computers at that time when I started my career. And on the 6th or 7th of the month, I went to the bank and I wanted to withdraw money. And the lady at the counter, she told me that there is no money there is no balance in your account. I told her, I said, Madam, this is my salary account, and please check the ledger carefully, and there may be some entry missing. My salary may not have been credited. Now, her job was to take whatever is there in the ledger. Her job is not to update the ledger. And she straight away told me, manager is sitting, sir, in the left hand side corner. Why don't you go there and talk to the manager? This is not my job. Updating ledger is not my job. Do you think I'll be happy? And on the first opportunity, I closed down my account in that bank and moved to the next bank. So when you don't give them training, employees are demotivated, employees become bored doing the same routine job, employees cannot respond to the customer problems, and if the customer's problems are not addressed, there is a choice. Today customers have the choice, and that is where the cycle, at the end of the cycle, what we find, the failure cycle, that the customers walk out of the doors of the company, and the marketing department if you read on the top, it is written, the cycle when there is a customer turnover, the repeat emphasis on acquiring more customers, that whatever customers we had, they have left the organization, they are not dealing with us anymore. Now let us get hold of new customers. So marketing department is trying to get new customers for the company. This is a typical failure cycle. As against that, the success cycle it begins with broadened job design. As you can see in the green ink, very clearly written on the left hand side, right hand side, broadened job design. You pick up people with broadened job design. The way in private hospitals, they say when they are recruiting paramedical staff, they say that, look, you have to do everything to extend comfort to the ailing patient. Not that you have to give medicines, but अगर वो बिस्तरा गंदा कर दिया है, वो भी साफ करना है आपको. So broaden job design. You train, you empower frontline people to control quality. You give them above average wages. You select them through intensified selection effort. Today, many companies, when they recruit, one psychologist is also a part of the panel. They also assess the personality of the person, because ability can be enhanced through training, but personality cannot be changed. So if you pick up people who are critical, if you pick up people who are close-minded, you are running into a major problem. So today, large number of service organizations, when they recruit, they don't look at the ability part. They say ability we will enhance through training, but we should look at the personality of the person, because personality of a person cannot be changed. And that is what Peter Drucker wrote earlier. I also talked about it. Everybody has the ability, but they lack personality. So when you recruit people with a broadened job design, and you select them through intensified selection process, you give them extensive training, you give them empower them to control quality. So employees are satisfied. Employees are satisfied, and they will have positive service attitude. If they have positive service attitude, they will be able to respond to customer problems, and they will be able to help the customers in a variety of ways. They will always come forward to solve customer problems. 1st of April, the banks were closed. I went to my bank. The bank was closed. And the security guard told me that today is the closing day and the bank is closed. And the branch manager looked at me. I just told him, I have not come here to withdraw money. I have come here to give you some money. He said, most welcome. leave the voucher. We will send it for clearance tomorrow. And he even says, stamped my and gave me the receipt. Now this is where we call it, I have a problem. I went all the way down. I don't want to go again. I never knew that you have a closing today. But this is what it is, that I feel very happy. I am quite satisfied with that bank, because on a holiday also they handled my transaction. And this is where you develop customer loyalty. And from the customer loyalty, as we can see from the slide, you have low customer turnover. And if you have low customer turnover, your marketing department is actually looking at repeat emphasis on customer loyalty and retention. So can we have the slide, please? Studios.
We are waiting for another slide. Could we see? क्या हम दूसरी slide देख सकते हैं? Next slide.
So as we can see that on the top of it is a repeat emphasis on what customer loyalty and retention, which means that the customers are low customer turnover, customers are satisfied, and what marketing department is doing? Marketing department is thinking of how better loyalty programs can be developed rather than getting more customers. So this is a typical success cycle, and the success cycle says that broaden job description which empowered and practice enable frontline staff to control quality and facilitate service recovery, regulate customers more likely to remain loyal because appreciate continuity in service relationship and have higher satisfaction due to higher quality. It is in that backdrop the leadership role is very important. Many service organizations owe their success to their leaders. We all know that in the city of Delhi, metro network was phase 1 was completed ahead of time, and who made it possible? The then CEO, Mr. Sridharan. And that is where it is being said, nothing can be done unless the top management is committed to bring about a distinct change in the organization. And that is where two different models of leadership have been seen in the literature. And it is being said that the leaders are of two types. One is transactional, other is transformational. Transactional leaders are those who look at the routine job, they come to the office, they clear the files and they go back. Transformation leaders are those, they look at where the organization should be tomorrow, next week, next year, 5 years time, how this organization should grow and shape up. And there are great corporations which have become great because of great leaders. So key success factor of the leadership is set clear expectations from the staff, recognize excellence, pick up people, lead by your own example, and being able to empathize with employees. In today's context, this factor has become extremely important. Gone are the days, the whole social structure in India has undergone a major change. I mean, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, people used to talk about joint family. Now, joint family system has gone away, at least in the city life. And leave aside the nuclear families, today it's single parent. And today, that is what is required. The superior must understand. I look at in my own span of more than 30 years of my career, things have changed significantly. Today, I just cannot say no to my junior staff when they want to take off or leave. Because if my secretary's child is sick, it is she who can attend to her ailing child, not even a neighborhood, nor even a domestic help. And if she is bothered about the child and she is crying sitting in the office, what great work she is doing sitting in the office. It's better, you must allow her to go. At least tomorrow she will come back happy and she'll put in her heart into the work. But if you say, nahi, stay here, go only at 5 o'clock, she will say, what a useless boss I have. And she will never do your work on time. And that is what today it is becoming extremely important. Understand the social structure which is undergoing change, the joint family system to the nuclear family to single parent. And it is in that context, it is very important that you empathize with your employees. That empathize means, अगर आपका बच्चा बीमार होता तो आप क्या करते? तो उसका बच्चा बीमार है तो उसी नज़र से सोचिए आप. That is a whole concept there, and showing adaptability to change, changing circumstances. This is what is required in today's organization. I'm going to narrate an instance out of a book. It's very interesting, and I learned phenomenally when I read it, and I created half a dozen slides out of that piece which I read in a book. In a company, they said that we sent out letters, more than 100 letters to our associates, asking them to draw pictures of what the company means to them. So they said, हमने उनको drawing sheets और crayons भेजे और उनको कहा कि आप जो भी सोचते हैं कंपनी के बारे में उसकी फोटोग्राफ अपने हिसाब से ड्रॉ करें. तो क्या हुआ, कंपनी doesn't mean what happened? So the company doesn't mean exactly the same thing to two people, but there were some very common themes. So जो drawings बन के आई उसमें happy faces and illustration of service. मगर the most chilling drawing was in 2 pages. The first showed a family sitting around the fire with the children playing kittens and puppies. And the picture was colorful, warm and cozy. People were happy. At the top it said before. तो वो ऑथर कहता है कि 2 पेज की एक ड्राइंग आई, उसमें पहली ड्राइंग के ऊपर लिखा हुआ था बिफोर, और उसमें बहुत अच्छी एक खुश फैमिली एक बैठी थी जहाँ वो आग जल रही थी, खाना खा रहे थे और सब कुछ, हैप्पी फैमिली. मैंने उससे मिलती जुलती फोटोग्राफ डाउनलोड करके लगाने की कोशिश करी है, just to put it as an illustration. And the author says when he looked at the second drawing, it was horrifying. The second sketch was in pencil. It was stark and cold. There was a person alone and shivering. The fire was out. The room was completely bare. I was horrified. And on the top it read, now. Now imagine in an organization when people feel like this, what will be the plight of this organization? It is in that backdrop the author talked about importance of human resource. That everyone who are working in the organization, they work like a family, they share, they help each other, and they work towards a common goal to take the organization forward. But if in an organization everybody feels loner, left to himself or herself, then you can understand what can be the plight of the organization. So this pencil sketch, they said that it was quite a revealing thing. And the author further says that it becomes very important that you look at the workplace, what type of culture you are creating. And he said that you must relate it to the Maslow's hierarchy of need. For example, as we go to they say that address the higher level of needs. According to Maslow theory, human needs fall into in natural hierarchy from physiological needs to safety to social needs to esteem and self-actualization. And the entire thesis that the companies must provide not the basics, but higher level of needs, address the higher level of needs of the customers. And actually it says that cultivate happiness at the workplace. If you cultivate happiness at the workplace, that is the key to superior service in the service organization. So if you address their higher level needs, not physiological needs, which is recognition, which is actualization, they address their higher level of needs, the employees will be happy. And cultivating happiness at the workplace to provide superior service. If employees are happy, they are motivated, they take pride in working for the organization, obviously they will give you satisfied customers. It's also being said, that book further talks about that make your company a lifestyle. The workplace, your personal life and your professional life, there is a transition, these three things are linked. Imagine a person whose wife keeps waiting for him and the man goes from work at 10 o'clock. What will happen? His wife might even divorce him. And a divorced person may not have a great social life. And to that extent, I always say there is a link between the three. Your professional, your social, and your personal lives, all three lives are linked. And therefore, the company must ensure that it should help the employees to lead a better lifestyle. Always involve your people in decisions and give them a sense of ownership. And people work better when they want to work. Nobody can make someone work. And the book even says that if you find there are departments, take a look at the areas with rising cost. It could be that there is a corresponding morale problem. The humanistic approach to business yield financial results also, because people work better when they want to work. Nobody can make anyone work. And therefore, it's very important when you recruit people, you recruit carefully. The emotional and financial, if you don't recruit carefully, there is an emotional and financial cost which is very high. Emotional cost doesn't mean that I am emotionally involved with my subordinate staff, but the trust part. If today the kind of staff I have phenomenal faith in them. They know what I expect from them. They know my job. They do the job. They also know what is a confidential document and so on. But if my staff goes, somebody else comes, it will take enormous time that I will develop confidence and start giving them confidential documents to handle. Otherwise, till I develop that confidence, I will handle the confidential documents myself. So if you don't choose wisely and people leave your organization, there are indirect costs. Even your services may be interrupted. Your training cost is gone down the drain. And even some of the good information, classified information, goes out of your organization to your competitors. आपके कंपनी के बारे में जानकारी आपके कॉम्पिटिटर तक चली जाती है, क्योंकि आपकी एम्प्लॉइज आपको छोड़ के आपके कॉम्पिटिटर के यहाँ ज्वाइन कर जाते हैं. And many times projects are put on hold because the key staff has left the company. It is in that context it is being said, look for team and the cultural fit. And I have taken some diagrams from the healthcare sector. Look at what is needed. It's a question of somebody's life. The patient can survive if the paramedical staff is good, and the patient may perish if the treatment is not given appropriately. So look for team and the cultural fit. And the example which I gave the other day also, why all good hospitals have paramedical staff from one state or couple of states, maybe from Kerala and from Northeast. That itself says team and the cultural fit. Also, it is being said that when you are interviewing for leadership positions, place your candidates in situations beyond the normal scope of work, sports, informal get-together. Watch their interactive skills. The top management people must have great interactive skills. They must interact with everybody. And if they remain within their room, perhaps they will have no idea about what is happening in the organization. Even if they plant their people and they get information from others, in any case they are getting information from the secondary source and not first-hand information. First-hand information is more reliable than getting information from somebody else. And therefore it is advised that when you are recruiting people in the services sector, don't recruit who are arrogant, don't recruit who are egotists, don't recruit those who are politically well connected or the ones who have eyes on the benefits and the perks of your industry and the privileges. But choose wisely. Look for nice people who care, and everything else can be taught. It's a very simple and wonderful lesson which is being given in the services sector. Look for nice people who care. Everything else can be taught to them. Training can really do the job. And this is what is happening in the IT sector today, that the companies like Wipro, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, and many of these IT companies, they go to all kinds of BTech colleges and they recruit. They recruit people with very detailed and very intense recruitment process and give them training. They don't care what degree they have done, whether they have done biotechnology or civil engineering or chemical engineering, but they recruit these graduates, engineering graduates, give them training by 6 months and give them domain knowledge over a period of 6 months, and then they start delivering the goods better than the best. So that is where it holds very true in the service organizations. Look for nice people who care. Everything else can be taught to them. Recruitment, training and reward again are very important in the services sector. Involve marketing staff in setting personnel specification. You might say that HR is a separate function. Why marketing is getting into it? Because the marketing department will tell you what type of people are needed in the workplace. Consider key requirements of successful job performances. What are the key requirements for successful job performance? Think of Domino's, a Domino's delivery boy, not only or delivery girl, the ones who take the pizza and deliver at the doorsteps of the customers. A, they must know how to drive a two-wheeler. B, they must be familiar with the traffic signals. C, they must be familiar with the geographicity, and so that they know which particular house number is where, and they need not to search for it, and the concern for delivering on time. So these are the, I'm just giving 4 or 5 major job requirements of say a delivery boy. Use appropriate reward, monetary and non-monetary, which reflect employees' motivation. In fact, in the United States, Domino's came out with a negative reward that somebody who gave maximum deliveries not on time, that person was given a trophy, and the trophy was King of Lates. Nobody wanted to get that trophy of King of Lates or citation of King of Lates, and as a result, the delivery boys were racing against life and getting killed in road accidents. And contrary to that, and that is what we teach in communication, that when you are talking about communication, try to convert communication from negative to positive. The positive communications have greater impact than the negative communication. And that is where, in the Domino's, what they have to think of, giving Mr. On Time the awards. Somebody who doesn't make a single delivery late in the entire year must be given King of the Lates, King of Mr. On Time. Now, Mr. Round, you may give it 500, 600, 1000, but those people who get 3 consecutive years Mr. On Time award, they may be given promotion maybe in the 4th year. Now, that kind of system can help. It's a very positive approach rather than just giving. So appropriate, with a word which I have carefully selected, use appropriate rewards, not negative but positive rewards, which can actually motivate employees. Provide appropriate training and develop people. There is a word there, develop. Over a period of time, people must develop. If they don't develop, what will happen? They will fossilize in the same job. So, do satisfied employees result in satisfied customers? And this is the last line which I would like to. So, training does a lot of things for you. Training should begin with a formal orientation program. And it is being said that everybody must go through the same training. First impression is the last impression. Many a times in good organizations, what they do is they make a senior employee as a mentor. For 1 year, an employee will have a mentor. Many companies I have seen, the senior managers, they work as mentors. Even the institute where I work, any new faculty member who joins, he is a mentee to a senior faculty. And the mentors have their own, guidelines which they prepare. For example, when I worked as a mentor, I told my young faculty members that for 1 month, just listen, don't speak. Find out where you have landed up. Find out space for you. Find out how you can contribute to the organization. In the first 1 month, if that doesn't happen, then you have no place here. Better you go out. But in the first 1 month, you get to know this organization, you interact with people, you listen to them. Don't talk. You listen to them. Find out where is your space, what space you have, and from that space, how you can contribute to the organization. And I found that it was working out extremely well. I mean, there were situations where even personal advice people were coming and taking as a mentor. For example, the fellow was asking, which colony is the safer colony, sir? My children are small and my wife will also pick up a job. Now, where do I take a house on rent? So these small things, how do I get my gas connection transferred and all that. So you can ring up somebody who can guide and all. But yes, that works very well because you are making because the moment the person is settled in his personal life, only then he can contribute to the organization. His wife and children are the railway station. Do you think he'll put in his heart into the work? So that is where we call first impression is the last impression, and both good and bad habits begin early, and that the senior managers have the responsibility to ensure that the new entrants in the organization should not develop bad habits, and therefore this training, which can be informal, like mentor-mentee is informal training arrangement, where the mentee is actually a trainee and the mentor is actually the trainer, and they help the trainees or the mentees to get to know the organization and find out their space, etc. It is also being said that everyone should go through the same program regardless of job or location. Before beginning the first day at work, training is essential for everybody. Consider training as an essential part. Majority of the organizations, they don't give good training, but training should always have a kindergarten approach. What is kindergarten approach? Kindergarten approach is that in the kindergarten, 2, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year-old children, when they are making them learn arithmetic and the first lesson in addition, they don't write on the board 2 plus 2 makes 4. They may bring 2 bananas and they bring 2 more bananas, and then they ask the children to count how many bananas are lying on the table, or they put 2 apples and they put 2 more apples, and then they ask the children to now count how many apples, or 4 minus 1 is how much. Out of the 4 apples they eat 1 apple, all of them they cut apple and they eat, and then they ask how many apples are left on the table, and they say now 3. So 4 minus 1 is 3. We have eaten 1 apple. So this is a kindergarten approach, which is play, learning by play, by fun. So they may use apples, they may use banana, they may use blocks, they may use buttons, they may use chairs, they may use children itself. That 2 of you stand here, 2 of you stand on my left side, 2 of you may stand on my right side, and rest of the class will count how many children are standing on my left and right side. So that is how the the kindergarten approach actually works. So make learning a fun, which means, on a serious note, give them case studies, give them problems to solve, and people retain more when information is presented in a creative, interactive, and interesting manner. Training must be both attitudinal as well as technical. It's being said giving knowledge takes very little time, but knowledge to skill and skill to attitude, it takes much greater time. For example, giving knowledge, how to make, say, a continental dish. One can read from the cookery book, but by reading the cookery book, you don't learn how to cook. I'm sure the anchor might have tried reading the cookery book and preparing some dishes, but it works, at times doesn't work. My wife once told me to make chapati. I tried to make chapati in the house, and it had all kinds of shapes, and usko to कौओं ने भी नहीं खाया, ऐसी चपाती बनी थी. So that is where we call skills are required. Otherwise knowledge is what, आटा लो, उसको गोल करो, चकले पे रखो और बेलन से उसको फैला लो. But it doesn't happen that way. So that is where skill is needed. And then the next level is attitude, which our grandmothers had. Our grandmother's life revolved around kitchen. Their entire objective was everybody who comes to the house must be well fed. Bhuka pet, koi khali pet nahi jana chahiye. If there is a visitor, she will feed her. She will feed everybody in the dinner time and then eat and then close the kitchen at 11. So that is attitude. And developing that, and that is where the training has to be attitudinal. So there are 3 things: knowledge, skill, and attitude. It takes very little time to give knowledge. It takes more time to develop skills. It takes far greater time to create the attitude. If you have employees with the right attitude, the right service attitude, you're going to be a great service organization. And therefore, it is being said, give training to the people from general skills to subject, and then other aspects also. Also provide training to your people on new methods, new products, and minimize needs of, and finally they say, if it is possible for you, the minimize needs to employ new people, and groom your trainers, because many a time the trainers also have to be trained on new technologies, new things which are coming in the market. And it's also being said that in service organization, if you can reduce dependency on HR, at least not in totality, but at least in some part of your total service delivery, if you can use automation, then you will find that you are able to standardize degree. For example, the way in the retail banking they are able to do it, that automation has created the availability of retail banking service 24 hours round the clock, 7 days of the week. Whereas earlier on, retail banking facility was available only for 22 hours in the entire week. Monday through Friday 4 hours, between 10 and 2 4 घंटे बैंक खुला होता था, और इतवार को 2 घंटा 10 से 12. So Monday to Friday 4 hours or 20, Saturday 2 hours 22. 22 hours per week to 24 hours per day. This is only became possible because they used automation, computers, IT, information technology, and the technology replaced human resource. So think in that line. Can you use technology where you reduce dependency on human resource and create those, we call it, create automation labs in your service organizations? So computer assisted scripting involve customers more fully in co-production, and that is another aspect of it, that customers are also involved in co-production. For example, fast food outlet, you stand in one queue and you pay. With that, you go to the counter, you pick up your food and you sit down wherever you get placed and you eat. And where in such fast food outlets, they have been able to reduce dependency on human resource, which means lesser number of people are employed. In any case, it is me who is paying the money, and actually I am paying much less money because I am doing part of the job myself. Because I stand in the queue and I pay, and I actually collect the food and sit, and if I am able to, the soiled tray, if I put it in the dustbin myself, they feel far more happier. And this is where it is being, some of the airlines even emphasize that we are about to land, now we are preparing for the aircraft for the next flight, so our staff will pass through the aisle, and in case you have anything, any can, carton, newspaper, any refuge, you may just give it to the staff. Which means whatever I have left there, rather than leaving at my seat, I better clean, so that the next time the flight is leaving, the seat is always, the basket in front and other places are all clean. Also, we say that in service organization, information is power. Capture the information. Create ways to put the work for your company in your client. So give information to the people. That is again a very important factor, because capturing information can help you to understand what your customers are looking at. Look for methods by which technology can save time in your organization. This service information and communication technology is being integrated significantly in many services. Even this lesson, this lecture which we are producing at the CEC Center in Delhi, through the communication technology, is made available across India to you, and you can actually see it on television also, Doordarshan also. You can also see it on other social media. This particular is nothing but technology, the technology enabling learning. So understanding of that technology and how the technology can help in passing on information. And the CEC, we are doing that experiment, and I'm sure our viewers are benefiting out of it. And this is nothing but another example of how technology can help in reaching out to people in far and near areas. And that is what we say, that in service organization, create an automation lab. Automation lab can help. For example, this lecture can be put onto a CD, and that CD can be distributed, and it becomes and this is what Indira Gandhi University has done, that large number of such programs are available on CD. So friends, what we have discussed, I think we'll try to summarize that in service organizations, internal marketing is essential, manpower, staffing is important, understanding manpower and give due respect to your employees. You select and recruit them properly, train them on social skills, interactive skills, and technical skills, attitudinal skills. Look at your organization, organize work assignment, empowerment, create the right service culture in your organization, and the teamwork is necessary. That is what some of the pictures I showed you, happy family and so on. Give them necessary support in terms of processes and technical support. Motivate them. Your motivations may not be financial, non-financial also. So treat employees as customers and so on, and evaluate. Finally, whatever you are doing, is it giving you right results or not? So you evaluate, measure performance, you have a feedback mechanism and feedback to the top management. So it is in that context, the human resource is extremely important in our service organizations.
You have raised very important elements and very important points regarding this very topic, how the negative communication can be converted into the positive communication, and how by satisfying our internal public, of course we can satisfy our external public, that are customers also. So this very successful note of ours, that is very successful lecture of ours, through which we get deep insight into this topic, as well as how could we become a true professional, a good professional with this. I congratulate you, sir, for being with us in this EduSec Lectures of Art. Thank you so very much.